Hello, James. Muito bom
Hello, Sergio.
Hello. Ver você aqui no Brasil. Faz 11 anos que seu livro foi lançado no Brasil, que você veio a primeira vez para o nosso país e desde então foram quase 5 milhões de cópias vendidas do seu livro. Já fizemos 80 eventos no Brasil, mais de 150 mil pessoas já assistiram às suas palestras. Como é que você se sente, como você pode explicar esse sucesso tão grande no Brasil falando sobre liderança servidora?
Yes, I wrote The Servant, called Monge e Executivo in Portuguese, in 1997. I wrote it as a manuscript for my daughter, so she would know what I teach and what I believe. And the book was released here in Brazil in 2004, 2005, and much to my surprise, it was a big success, and I was pleasantly surprised. Sergio and others invited me to come down and talk about the book and to teach. So over the last 12 years, I have been to Brazil nearly 30 times, 30 different cities, spoken, I think, 80 lectures, and have just been amazed by how people in Brazil have embraced these principles of servant leadership. Also, there has been a theatrical play produced on the principles, and also outdoor training by Fórmula. They're doing training based on Monge, and so it's been a wonderful thing. Because my dream all along was for these principles to be given to everyone. Because I freely received these principles. I often say in my seminars, everything I talk about, everything I write about, I stole all these things. These things have been around for centuries, and is wisdom from the scriptures and wisdom from the ages. So I feel that I need to freely share these things with people. So I'm very pleased that there are avenues now for many people to be able to hear and understand and hopefully practice these principles in their life. I am more surprised and happy than anyone about the success in Brazil and the power that these principles are having with people here.
Ok, thank you, John. One more question. Faz mais de 30 anos que você trabalha com a liderança servidora e você agora está no momento de efetivamente implementar a liderança servidora nas organizações, né? Você me disse que esse ano você fez um trabalho intenso em mais de 20 empresas, fazendo esse trabalho de implementação, de mudança de cultura, e que tipo de resultado você está vendo efetivamente na prática?
After I wrote my first book, Monge, I would get emails and questions from people, and they would say, oh, these principles are wonderful. I've given them to my people and in my company, and they love the principles, but they have a hard time changing. It's one thing to learn these principles. It is another thing to practice these principles, to move it from your head to your heart, and from your heart into your habits. I wrote my second book in 2004 to talk about this implementation process, to help people to start practicing the principles of servant leadership. You can know all about leadership and never really know leadership. I meet people like this every week of my life. They know the principles, they can talk about them, but they don't practice them in their life. So a very important part of servant leadership is to get people to begin to practice. The analogy that I use is that being a servant leader is like learning a sport, learning to play soccer, learning to swim, learning to golf. You don't become skilled at these things by reading a book or listening to me talk or watching PowerPoint slides. You have to practice these things. No one ever became a great soccer player reading a book. No one ever learned how to swim reading a book. You have to get into the water and practice. So we have an implementation process that we have used extensively in the US for many years, and we are going to start doing in Brazil to help people to get into the water. Otherwise, I tell people, it's like me coming to Brazil and teaching servant leadership, and then I leave and they never get into the water. That's crazy. If you don't get into the water, these principles are of no value to you. It's just information. So the implementation process helps people to practice. They get a foundation of what the training is and what servant leadership is, and that's important. That's the first step. Then they begin to get feedback from the people around them. Are they a patient person? Are they kind? Do they listen? Do they give appreciation? Are they humble? Are they respectful? Are they selfless? Are they forgiving? Are they honest? Are they committed? We ask people to give them feedback. People they work with, people in their homes, to give them feedback about these areas so they can identify the gap between the high level of servant leadership and where they currently are. So feedback is very important. And then the third step is creating some friction in your life to get you serious about change. So we get people to work together in groups and to talk about their areas of their gaps, their areas where they can grow. And to talk about where they do well and where they fall back and get support, get encouragement, and to create accountability from the group. So the implementation portion of servant leadership is extremely important. Again, otherwise it is like reading a book on soccer and never going on the practice field and actually playing the game. So you have to get on the field and play.
Okay, thank you, Jim.
You're welcome.